So, what are you going to be showing us today?
I'm going to be showing a workflow that I like with the machine that I don't know like if a lot of people do the same thing, but one thing I realized when I got the machine is that you can basically do everything in a million different ways. So you kind of like have to like mess with it and find the way that suits you. And one thing I really like about it is that it now has a bunch of built-in drum synths. And I usually, before this happened, I usually used to use actual hardware, analog drum synths. And one of my favorite thing is to program a pattern and actually tweak it while I'm recording it to kind of like create movement and make it, move and make it groove and all that. And
yeah, so first off, what is a drum synth? For those of us who don't really know.
For example, most of the sounds I'm assuming that he used in his presentation were like sample-based, and that's kind of like the most obvious thing that you would use a machine for. But a drum synth is basically a synthesizer that is just slightly different, so that it's designed to make drum sounds. So it's more transient, and it's like envelopes that kind of like create drums. And very classic examples are like the Roland TR-808 and 909s. Which are hardware devices that are really expensive, and they're actually not as easy to use as this thing. So I'm going to show you how I like to use this one. And I've loaded a couple of sounds. These are all made from synths, and Machine has. It's really easy to kind of load a sound. I'm going to go. If you press Shift and browse, you get straight into the modules that are the machine modules. So you skip all libraries, everything. And for example, here I'm going to choose the hi-hat. And this is, every of the drum synths has their own kind of like engines. And this one kind of sounds like a 808 style thing. And then there's this one is circuit. It's kind of more like weird digital bent thing, and the memory is I think it's supposed to emulate kind of like the 909, which is based half on samples and half on actual analog engine. And you probably recognize this open hi-hat from like lots of house and techno. But anyways, the cool thing about having a hardware drum synth is that you can create a pattern and then start playing it. So, for example, this one, you have the decay, you have the pitch, and one thing that I like personally is to, while it's recording, my DAW is recording, I like to just keep playing it, and then kind of like record the results, and might not be perfect, but that's kind of like the idea. So I'm just going to play a quick little demo I made the other day, where I took a bunch of loops that I made with the machine, and I did some automation to make it kind of like feel good. And what I like to do is, as soon as I have something that is, to me, usable, I'll open the plugin, the machine plugin, and there's a little button so you can drag the audio into your DAW, and it just makes a perfect little print of the loop you have in your pattern. And the reason why I like that is because then I basically pile up the ideas, and then I have my own personal little loops that I can start editing in the DAW. So I'm going to just play this little thing. And just so you know, all drums, there's no samples in the drums, it's all drum synths, and even a couple of the percussive melodic things are actually drum synths. So I'm just going to play this. The only real instruments are, I used a complete for some Rhodes, and I played some bass, and that's about it. So I'm gonna play a minute of this. So that's a basic kind of groove to start off a song. Thank you. And
Super funky.
if you guys look at it in that folder that says machine loops, that's basically like a bunch of patterns that I did real quick. And as soon as I think something is working, I drag them in, and all of a sudden they're printed audio. And then you can use your own third-party plugins and all that stuff to manipulate it and eventually make it a song. And if you guys notice, there's the lowest waveform is says Tom Improv. It's basically Tom drum synth that I made a melody out of, and then as soon as I had something that I liked, a good pattern, instead of just taking a loop, I just basically play the buttons of the drum synth throughout the song while recording it, so that I get a bunch of different stuff happening. So like basically kind of like doing a little performance and play it with the song, and then it kind of it moves with the song, and it's kind of perfectly imperfect, if that makes sense.
So you prefer dealing with recording it in real time as opposed to having automation that just kind of loops over and over.
Yeah, and now I'm just gonna try and just show that how I do the patterns. I'm gonna mute all the audio from the machine that was in the song, and so now I should just have the basic drums. And I personally like to just work from pretty short loops, just because then I can get the quickest idea out. So if I start this, there's nothing. So I'm gonna take the metronome and start with a kick. I'm just gonna use that kick as like the base for my more kind of like improvised sound. So my favorite thing to do this with is hi-hats. So I'm gonna try this kind of like 808 sounding hi-hat. And again, this is generated by the software, so it's very tweakable. And one thing that I really like about the layout of these is that there's not too many parameters, so it doesn't get too involved and confusing. So most of the knobs that are in front of you are actually useful. So we have first tune, decay, there's some gate and noise, saturation, and very like basic, but that's kind of like what makes it good. So I'm going to add a hi-hat pattern, and I'm going to use the note repeat function. And one thing that's cool again is like that, which most hardware drum machines can't do, is actually the velocity. So if I press harder, it gets louder. So I can kind of already with the velocity make movement. So I'm gonna just record 2 bars of that. Oops, wrong button. And as you can hear, it's already moving a little bit, but I'm going to take it further and add just one layer of automation. I'm going to do tune and decay, and just the bar of that, and to kind of create a loop that's going to be the kind of like groove of the song. And if you can hear it, it's like boomy out here, but now I just have a loop of different things happening with the automation, and just kind of like makes the pattern alive. And that's something that it's not as easy to do with the drum machines, and here is super easy. And even if you're not super happy with it, you can edit it a little bit, but I kind of like the happy accidents to be happening. So and another thing that makes it really fun is, I'm just going to delete these patterns, is that since a drum synth is basically a synthesizer, it's really fun to do melodic stuff with it too. So I loaded this one synth tom, and when the decay is really short, it just sounds percussive, but you can make it into a full note by adding a lot of decay. And then if you put the machine into the keyboard mode, you can actually play melodies. And well, I guess the long pattern that I did in the demo song was made with a sound like this. And in the beginning, I'm playing the melody with very short decay, so you can't really hear the note information. And then throughout the song, you can open it up, and all of a sudden it turns into a melody. And I like to do that in a way where like I record it real time, just because editing a bunch of automation and doing it that way can actually just make the process way longer. So I'm first going to make a little pattern. Metronome. As you can already hear, it's already in pitch, because I'm playing it as a keyboard, but it's a drum sound. So I'm gonna, while we still have a little bit of time, I'm gonna just start out with a really slow decay, and then I'm gonna have the DAW just record whatever I do, and I'll probably make it really crazy at the end. So just like 30 seconds of that, and see what happens. So I can like prolong the decay and make it more tonal. It's a little loud. And then this one has glide too, so we can add some glide. It up, or we can do the tune. Yeah, and as you can see, I like to just record it straight to audio, because then basically, like in computers, when you're working in DAW, it's very easy to perfect everything. So the more you kind of like just like go straight to tape, as it's not tape, but straight to the recording, you basically limit yourself in a way and make more happy accidents. So that's how I like to use this thing.
Pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.